today is basically a question where I got a feedback. Students were, I mean, the feedback which I got was that the question was uh, not difficult, but students took a lot of time to understand what is the requirement of the question, right? So this is, I think, June 2024, I think. June 24, yeah. So this is basically a 25 marks question. So we are going to start with this. Hi, Nailani. Sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. How are you? Hi, Nailani. How are you? I think she's mute. Okay, so we are going to start with the question, right? And then let's see how much we can do in today's session. I will discuss examiner feedback on this question. I will discuss the marking scheme and the way you are supposed to structure the answer, right? Because we already had, I think, 4 sessions. All are uploaded at the KKDL platform. So you can have the recorded versions from there. I have uploaded everything there in section A, so you can watch videos and see the supplement, see all the materials there. Okay, fine. So we are going to start with the session, and this is the question which I really wanted to do because of the feedback which I got from this question. So let's quickly start with this. Boroland is a car tire manufacturing company which is listed in Thailand. Its corporate vision is to supply tires of excellent quality and be known throughout Thailand for our value. Right. So that means what that means. Quality is something which is their key factor. Right. Quality. They are actually trying to focus on quality. Right. It has a max. It has the maximization of shareholder value as its overall financial objective. So this is another piece of information which is important for us, that whenever we are answering the question, sorry, in terms of sorry, shareholder expectations, we have to focus on anything which is going to maximize the value of shareholder. The Thailand is a large developed country where car ownership is growing steadily. The company's financial performance has grown year on year since the company has started 8 years ago, though performance this year has deteriorated. So this is an exception, right? Maybe we can identify some reasons why this actually happened. The company import most of the rubber used in the manufacturing process from the neighboring country of Thailand, right? The process of manufacture itself involves blending rubber into compound, which is then sent for milling in a tire building machine before final inspection takes place to detect any imperfections or defects. The company has focused on trying. The company has focused on trying to shorten the time this process takes, often to the detriment of the quality of the final product. The number of tires rejected at final inspection stage has increased in the last year. Right? Can you try to reread this part and just try to understand, and if possible, try to explain me what is there any problem with these 3 lines? Is there any issue with these 3 lines? What the company is focusing? Can anyone volunteer? What is the problem here? Is there any problem?
They are compromising on the quality of the product.
Yes, they are compromising on the quality, right? And their rejections are increasing, right? Do you think if rejections are increasing, it can reduce the profitability? Yes, right? And if the profitability will reduce, obviously shareholder value get compromised, right? And the company is focusing on trying to shorten the time this process will take, right? Often to the detriment of the quality of the final product. So they are compromising it because they want to reduce the time taking, right? Cycle time, production time. The company performance this year has been unsatisfactory in terms of achieving its overall objective. Now, what was the overall objective? Mm, the corporate vision was to supply the excellent quality. So, this was the corporate objective. And the financial objective is to improve the shareholder value. So, there are two areas where the overall objective is given. And the question is saying that the unsatisfactory in terms of achieving its overall objective. So maybe it's related to the quality, and it can be related to the financial side, or we can write it like value creation. Anyone can be this thing, right? Uh, then its net profit margin has declined, though the revenue has increased slightly. It has lost market share. It has lost market share to competitors who have been able to demonstrate enhanced flexibility by bringing new types of tire to the market. The company currently uses an absorption costing system where fixed costs are absorbed by the number of tires produced. Right. Um, can you identify what is actually the where actually the unsatisfactory performance is? The question is saying that the company performance was unsatisfactory in terms of achieving its overall objective. So one part was related to the quality, and the overall financial objective is to value creation. So where the company is actually lacking, according to this paragraph, profitability negatively impacted. Yes, profits have reduced. That means the value creation, right? This can be somehow connected with, indirectly connected with the profits. And there is one more thing. The company has lost market share to competitors who have been able to demonstrate enhanced flexibility by bringing new types of tire to the market. So this is not the quality, but somehow the company is lacking in innovation, right? Innovation can also be connected with the value creation, because the more if you are bringing a quality product, innovative product to the organization, it can have a long-term impact on the company, right? So that is an important thing. I don't know why this screen is not moving. Um, just a second. My screen is not moving. I'm not sure about yours. Okay, so yeah, that's it. And then the question is saying that okay. Then the question is saying that the company is currently using an absorption costing system where fixed costs are absorbed by the number of tires produced. Can anyone, because this is a very basic concept, something which we have learned in very early papers, like in F2 or the first or second paper of ACCA. Can any one of you identify, any one of you, all, there are three students. Can any one of you identify the significance of this line? Why this line is given here? Any idea? Any idea? If you have this, let me know. What do you mean by this line? See, you have to understand. You have to make an attempt. That's an important thing. The company is absorbing using an absorption costing system where fixed costs are lots of costs may be assigned to product as overheads will be assigned. Actually, they are talking about the fixed cost specifically, right? So what they are saying is that, let's suppose the fixed cost is 1 million. So what we are doing, we are dividing it with the number of units. Let's suppose we want to produce 100,000 units, and $10 per unit is the rate. So we are we are including this $10 in the product cost by we are including fixed cost by using this $10. So every time we produce 1 unit of tire, we include $10 in tires, right? So the more tire we will produce, the more fixed costs will be recovered from the customer, right? If we produce only, instead of 1 lakh tires, if we produce 80,000 tires, then 8 lakh cost will be charged to the customer. 200,000 cost will not be charged from the customer. This is a very basic concept which students generally forget by the time they are in their APM paper. So just a recap of that. The new the new tires the new tires of the new types of tires contain enhanced safety features which were developed following customer focus groups consultations undertaken by the company's competitor, right? Because they were saying in the previous paragraph, the question says that their competitors are bringing new type of tires to the market, and that's basically probably the company is lacking. So what the question is saying that the new types of tire contain enhanced safety features which were developed following customers' focus group consultation undertaken by the borderline competitors. The tires take slightly longer to produce, but are already gaining a reputation for safety and quality with the inhabitants of Peeland. In response to an inquiry from the board of Boroland as to why the company did not have such features in the production manager has indicated that he did not realize such features were possible and that it would not be possible for the company to produce them given the limitations of the current production system. So the first feedback is what is happening in the industry? In the industry, the competitors are bringing new products, and how they are bringing new products, not by their probably they are taking the feedback from the customers that what they want, and then they are developing new products. And um, the but the company is not doing that, right? And surprisingly, the problem is that the manager has no idea, did not realize that these features were possible, and then they say that they have the production limitations, they are unable to do so. So that means they are not able to provide a quality product to their customer, which was in their long-term objective. Quality issue was there, and if you are not providing a quality product, new product to the customer, ultimately your value creation will compromise. Right. So this is basically the introductory paragraph of this question. What is happening in the industry? What is happening with the company? Right. Now let's move to the next part, which is the performance management. By the way, I forgot to read the requirement. Requirement is just to respond to the performance pyramid, a requirement for the performance pyramid and current rewarding system. So we will be focusing on these two things. Okay. So performance pyramid, the company has developed its own reporting system called the corporate steering wheel. Sorry, corporate steering wheel, right? To manage, which is given in appendix number 1, to manage performance in the company. At a recent meeting with institutional investors, however, it was suggested that the company's overall performance management would be enhanced by adopting the links and cross performance pyramid, which is given in appendix number 2. The investors were familiar. Now, this is an important statement. The investors were familiar with the 9 performance headings of the pyramid. Now, why examiner is telling you this? Because you are not supposed to explain what do you mean by all these 9 headings. Because we have studied in past that whenever you are introducing any new concept in the company, you should start with the introduction because the administration is not aware of that. Here, the investor question itself is saying that the investors were familiar with the 9 performance headings. So you are not supposed to include the definition of that part, right? which is market, financial, customer satisfaction, flexibility, productivity, quality, delivery time, cycle time, and waste. The most significant advantage of Borderland, the investor felt, would be increased focus on identifying how performance pyramid would achieve internal efficiency and external effectiveness. Now, what is the requirement? Now, let's move to the requirement. The board of Borderland would like you to assess the extent to which the measures in Borderland corporate steering will address the 9 performance headings of the performance pyramid. What are the 9 headings? These are the 9 headings. These are the 9 headings. The board has stressed that it does not require you to suggest any alternate measure for the performance pyramid. Now, just hold for a moment, right? Take a minute and try to understand what the examiner is asking you to do. What is the requirement? Any idea what is the requirement?
I think the requirement is to go to the corporate steering wheel and look at it.
And
It's saying access the extent to which the measures which are in the corporate steering wheel, whether they address the 9 performance headings of the performance pyramid. Firstly, what you can do is to go to the corporate steering wheel and
so
see
this is
if whether the 9 performance headings are being addressed.
so this is
I
the
think that's
corporate.
the question.
Yeah. So this is
Yeah.
basically their corporate, whatever they are calling corporate steering wheel, and this is the performance pyramid. This was an appendix number 2, and uh, this is an appendix 1, right? So I just combined because we have to analyze the situation, right? Now, take a minute, right? Because I hope you guys know what is what is performance pyramid. Let me try to quickly explain it to you. We start with a corporate vision. What is the overall vision of the organization, right? And then we split into 2 areas. What is the market perception and what is the financial performance, right? Financial performance is generally improved or enhanced by how much you are, what is the output, what is the productivity, and market is basically to the customer side, so that is enhanced by customer satisfaction. Flexibility comes in between because there are 2 types of flexibility: external flexibility and internal flexibility. External flexibility means how quickly you can cope up with the requirement of the customer, right? So if customer is asking something you to do and you are providing them within a 15 days or maybe a month quickly, then that means you are flexible enough to cope up with the requirement of the customer. So that comes under the external flexibility. Internal flexibility is the multi-skilling of your people, of your resources, how flexibly you can divert resources from one part of the organization to the other part, right? So this part is these two combine to improve the financial part. These two combine to make the market improvement, right? And then it can be improved. Customer satisfaction can be improved by uh, delivery of services, and that can be improved by quality of services, delivery of services. This part is actually related to the external effectiveness. That if you improve the quality, if you improve the delivery time period, you can improve the satisfaction of customer. If you improve the cycle time, let's suppose instead of 2 hours, if you are taking 1.5 hours, you can improve the productivity. If you reduce the waste, you can improve the productivity, right? So that comes under the heading of internal efficiency, right? So uh, KPIs, I mean, objectives comes from top to bottom. I mean, this you can say that this is mostly the operational side, and these two are the strategic side, and this can be treated as a tactical version. And then how would the company is performing, that goes from top to bottom. So that's basically the overall idea is. So the good part is that you can have a connection, that corporate vision is connected with market and financial, and that is connected with the next part, and that is connected with the next part, and then there are options. Now you have to see whether you have to connect, you have to see both, you have to compare basically both, that what is in the corporate steering wheel, is this in line with the performance pyramid or not, right? So I'm giving you 2 to 3 minutes to think what is given here, right? Try to match it with the appendix, right? And then we will try to answer these questions. Okay. So take at least 2 to 3 minutes and note down anything if you find anything important, and then we can discuss. हेलो कौन सा जी 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 आप जरा एड्रेस कंफर्म कर सकते हैं क्या लिखा हुआ है फ्लैट नंबर A701 अनम विस्ता अपार्टमेंट ना हाँ ठीक है ये जायरा नीस के नाम से है जायरा ZAIRA जी ठीक है कब तक आ जाएगा ये ठीक है थैंक यू ऑलराइट so customer can will customer complaints can be evaluated. Okay, so let's start with what is given here, right? It is saying that the first, this one thing is related to customer, then internal function, and then financial, right? So first of all, the connection is missing, right? Because in performance pyramid, there is a connection that something is related to the other thing, right? So that is a separate thing, but again, that is something which we can write. So let's start with the financial part, right? In financial part, how we are measuring the financial part in how we are measuring financial part in the corporate steering wheel by using the net profit and the gross profit. Net profit, gross profit, and sales volume. Right? These are three areas how they are measuring this. Right? In corporate vision, in performance pyramid, do you think all these three should go to? I mean, they are measuring the financial part, but do you think all these three should go to the financial side?
Yes.
What about the sales volume? See, sales volume is
Sales
something which,
volume should relate to market.
yeah, this should go to the market, right? So
Mm.
you can start, yeah. So this should go to the sales volume should go to market side. See, if you are talking about revenues, it should go to financial. If you're talking about cost, it should go to the financial. But when you have financial and market both, and you have sales volume, because we are trying to not convert it into a performance pyramid, but we are trying to see how it is, how the corporate steering wheel is aligning with the what was that performance pyramid. Um, yeah, addresses the nine headings, right? So that's basically what we are supposed to do. Okay. So we can say that, okay, fine, sales volume is included in financial, but that should not be the part of financial, that should be the part of market, right? So that's basically how they are made. So financial part is done, right? Financial part is there. Let me try. I'm just doing an initial analysis, and then we can further analyze the situation later. So financial part is something which we are measuring right now. Okay, perfect. Market part is measured by sales volume, right? Sales volume. So that is something which the company is doing. Okay. What about the customer satisfaction? Are they measuring customer satisfaction?
Customer complaints.
Yes. So this is something which they are measuring. Whether that is appropriate, inappropriate, in line with the mission statement, in line with the overall objective, that is a separate issue. We will discuss that. But right now, we are just trying to match. That's the most important thing. What about the productivity? Output productivity.
Utilization.
Yes, this part. Okay. Flexibility. How flexible the company is in terms of bringing the product to the customer, in terms of developing new products. Nothing is
On
given
time
here.
deliver.
On time delivery is this part. On time
Is a
delivery is this
deliver.
part, no?
Okay.
Yeah, that
Now,
that that. I mean, if you want to, nah, it will not fit. Don't try. Don't do this. Don't do that forcefully.
mm.
So this part is missing here. Okay. Quality. Can you see anything quality related here?
Is missing.
Missing. Delivery time is there. Cycle time
On time
is,
deliver.
and wastage. That is also missing.
Nothing. Mm.
Nothing, right? So Few areas are measured by the company corporately, and few areas are not measured by this company, right? Now, we have to focus. Now, let's just start with uh, the sales volume, right? Because the company overall objective, overall financial objective was corporate objective, but term was what was written there was to. There were two issues. The first one was related to the quality enhancement, and the second one was the maximization of shareholders' value. So whatever we are going to answer, we are supposed to match these two things, that whether these two things are matching. And in my initial, when we discussed initially, I mean, when we started performance measurement, I told you guys that everything which you are doing, whatever you are writing, if mission statement is given in the question, you have to see whether that step is going to in line with the company's policy. That's not if a policy that is going to be in line with the overall mission statement. Because if you are doing anything which is going against the company's vision, that's something which we are not going to encourage, right? So let's start with the sales one, right? Because the company is seeing the market perspective with respect to sales volume. Let's try to start with this. Okay, so can you see anything here, any problem with which is related to the sales volume? Have we identified anything related to the sales volume? Sorry. Oh, sorry. Try to focus on this paragraph. Let me try to make your life easier. Oops. Yeah. Try to focus on this paragraph, which is marked with blue. Can you see anything related to sales volume here? Can you see any problem here? See, there is a problem. What is the problem? The company is measuring its sales, its market perspective by using the sales volume, right? Someone wrote something here. This. Yeah, market share loss. So the company is trying to measure its performance by using the sales volume. But what the problem is that it's losing its market share, right? It's losing its market share. So, and that's something which is not acceptable. That's something which should not be there. That why the sales volume is reducing, right? And if someone says that why we are criticizing on sales volume, because the company is struggling with a market share, right? And there's something which is also written here with related to the net profit. The question is saying that the net profit has reduced somewhere this part. The net profit has declined though the revenue has increased slightly. Um, Net profit, there can be two reasons why there can be a reduction in net profit. The first thing is that increase in cost, and the second one is reduction in selling price. These are the only two reasons how your profit margins can reduce. So since nothing about cost is given here, we are assuming that cost is same, because if it's different, something would have been mentioned here. So that means there are quite bright chances that selling price might have reduced. The company might have reduced the selling price in order to increase the sales volume. Right? So that is also not a good indicator. So sales volume is not a good indicator, is an inappropriate indicator. Why? Because the company is losing its market share, and considering the fact that net profit is reducing, that means company might, there are chances. If you want to write an assumption, if you want to write some note here, you may, because the situation is not 100% clear here. So there are chances that selling price the company is doing by reducing its selling price, right? So that is not a good indicator. So we can write, achha, by the way, the question requirement is for how many marks? The requirement is of 13 marks, right? And how much we have to write? In 13 marks, we have to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Sorry, 9. Corporate, let's forget about corporate vision. 1, 2, we have to discuss 9 areas, right? 9 areas means for 9 areas you will get 13 marks. So you don't have to write a lot, right? But you have to write approximately 2 marks for each, 2 to 3 marks for each, right? So the first thing which we can write is that we can show the connection that what the company is measuring, like market share, where I written.
Can you please show us how to write it correctly in sentences, at least one or two of the answers?
Yeah.
Mm,
I will show it, but right now I'm just trying to figure out where I've written. Yeah, in
okay.
a couple of minutes. So the first thing which we can write is that how the company can, what are the similarity? I mean, the connection between these two, that how the company is measuring, and then we can write this part, right? That market share, the company is using sales volume, instead it should use. Uh, I mean, this is not, this should not be the case, right? Now let me take you to the suggested answer. See, this is basically how I have written this market part, right? And let me tell you what is the most important thing. I don't know. Can you see this screen where market answers are given?
Y- Yes, we can see. I can see.
Okay. So in Borderland framework, market perspective by sales volume, right? This is first part where we have identified how market part has been assessed, right? This is the connection. However, sales volume may not be a suitable performance indicator for the company. Now, why I have bold this part as, because this is identifying the reason. We have given a statement that sales volume may not be a suitable performance indicator for the company. Why we are saying this? Because the company is struggling to keep up with the industry growing sales rate. So that's why we believe that sales volume may not be the good indicator. Another drawback of sales volume is that it indicator pressures the company to boost sales rapidly, while a decline in net profit likely that the company is attempting to increase revenue by lowering a selling price, which is a short-term tactic to drive the sales volume. Because if you reduce the selling price and you are increasing the sales volume, that is not a good idea because it is a short-term indicator. The company should be focusing on delivering quality product to meet the customer expectation. Now, there is an important thing which I just want to tell you guys. I have not written that the company should have used market share, right? Because we believe that market share is a better indicator. Why I have not written it here? Because the question says, the question says that the board has stressed that it does not require you to suggest alternate measures for the performance pyramid. So you are not supposed to suggest anything. So since we are not supposed to suggest anything specifically that is written mentioned in the question, don't suggest anything. And let's suppose that this statement is missing. Let's suppose this statement examiner has, if this statement is not present in the question. Let's suppose this statement is not present in the question. Uh, can you see what okay. So if the last statement is not present in the question, in that case, we should have recommended that instead of this, the company should have used a market share as a sales indicator, as a indicator for the market perspective. But because of the presence of, but the board has specifically asked you not to suggest anything. I have not suggested anything here. In the suggested answer, I have not written market share. Is it clear? Because you just have to write for maximum up to 3 marks, 2 to 3 marks, right? So I believe 1 mark is for the connection part. 1 mark, you can get 1 mark for connecting it with the scenario, that why you think that this is not an indicator, and this is additional mark. I mean, in case somewhere else you are doing, you couldn't find any points, you can get points from here, right? So out of 13, you have already scored a 3. And what is written at the starting, this is actually related to the corporate vision. That the corporate vision is also something which is missing from steering wheel of the company. Right? Now, let's move to the second part. The second part is financial, right? And financial part is measured by net profit and gross profit, right? Now, I don't know if you guys have been through economic value added or not, but yeah, this part. Okay, so the company is focusing on net profit margins, and which has declined. The company is focusing on net profit, right? Um, from this part and from these two paragraphs, do you think the company is focusing on innovation? The last, if you see the last two paragraphs, do you think company is focusing on any sort of innovation?
No.
Yes. Okay, so company is not focusing on research development, right? And why do you think company is not doing that? Because your financial objective is what? Net profit. If you remember, I don't know if you guys remember economic value added. Net profit and economic value added both are actually in contrast with each other. Net profit is a short-term performance indicator. Net profit, ROCE, anything which is related to operating profit are generally treated as a short-term performance indicator. Why? Because the management will try to improve the profitability. So what they are missing in this question, what they are missing, can you identify what they are missing here? They are not spending money on research and development. Why? Because if you spend money on research and development, it will be counted as your expense. And if it's your expense, let's suppose research work and development work is your expense, in that case your profitability will reduce. Net profit will reduce. Will you get bonus? No, you will not get bonus. So if someone asks me to recommend anything, I will definitely recommend economic value added, because that takes care of for all these things. I mean, economic value added says that if you have a research work and in accounting terms, if you are unable to capitalize, don't worry about that. If you are making the performance measurement, if you are analyzing the performance, you can capitalize. Right. So instead of charging 1 million whole, not 1 million in this year, what we can do is we can charge 1 million in coming 5 years, where the project will go. I mean, where the benefit the company will receive, right? So probably the net profit is actually the financial perspective. Financial perspective is actually measured by net profit, right? Net profit and gross profit. Net profit has a problem that it is a short-term indicator, and it is actually diverting labor, diverting management from what? From spending money on research and development. That's what they are saying. That Borolan, the production manager has said that limitation of the current production system. Maybe it's not the limitation of production system. It's basically the fact is that they don't want to spend money here because that is going to reduce the profit, right? if you see the marking scheme is quite simple. One mark is connected with the association, one mark is connected with how you are analyzing the situation, whether this is right or wrong, but you are not supposed to recommend economic value added because it is not required. If you recommend EVA, it may go against your professional marks because examiner has specifically asked you not to do so. Don't do that. And if still you are doing that, means you are not taking care of the requirement of the uh, of the examiner, right? So I mean, there must be no negative marking, but it's not. I mean, you will spend some time in writing and all those things, right? So let me take you to the suggested answer, right? Okay. So in financial part, how I have written that, how it's constructed, Borderland evaluates its financial performance by using the net profit margin, right? And we have also criticized that it is a short-term indicator that emphasizes on cost control, right? If you want to, I mean, you can reconstruct this answer that, and this is not an advisable indicator because it's a short term, right? However, the industry trend is moving towards investment in research and development of new tires, allowing managers more flexibility in R&D spending could better align with this focus. Prioritizing net profit margin may shift attention away from long-term value creation towards the short-term profit gains, which could negatively affect future sales. That's it. And if you want to connect it, you can also, you can further add a statement, affect say future sales and reduce shareholder value creation. So it will directly get connected with the overall objective of the company, right? And it's good to connect it, right? The second one is what the company is using. The second one, while the company also track gross profit margin, this measure is not primarily indicator of shareholder value. Instead, it simply shows whether the cost of goods sold remains with a specific range. So it's not connected with that, right? So how we have now, can you identify how many marks we can get from this paragraph? The first one is this one. We have connected these two. I mean, these two in combination will give you 1 mark, right? Not point 0.5, point 0.5, but in totality you will get 1 mark. Then criticizing these two, right? Criticizing these two, right? We have given an example that why this is not a good indicator. So this is 1 mark. And then this is another identification that it is not connected with your value creation. So probably you can earn 3 marks from here. Three marks, approximately 3 marks. So we can have 6 marks from the first two paragraphs. Don't worry, we may not have this much thing to write, some more things to write in the next part. So let's move to the next one. Then it's customer satisfaction, right? Customer satisfaction is measured by using customer complaint, right? Is this fine to measure it by using customer complaint? Just an idea from your side. Is this correct?
Yes, it's correct, but I think customer feedback would be appropriate more than customer complaints. But in this
Um,
case, customer complaints, it's
no,
okay.
no, no, no,
It's
no,
correct.
no, 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 no. You have to identify why you think so. Can you
Okay.
identify? I thought you were saying something. See, if I'm saying that feedback is more appropriate compared with customer complaint, there should be a rationale. I mean, if I'm giving a statement, there should be a logic behind it. Basically, you are right, but I just want to know what you will write in the why section, because just giving a statement will not earn marks. Despite of the fact that you are right, you will not earn marks. Your statement is correct, you will not get marks. You will get only marks when you say why you think that the customer feedback is better version compared with complaints. Any idea? Sorry, I cannot pronounce your name. Sorry. No, that
Izinyanga.
no, I can pronounce your name, but I'm talking to the other guy whose name I cannot
Okay,
pronounce.
you can say Chapadzwa.
Yeah, sorry, I still cannot pronounce that. But sorry, I'm very bad with pronunciation. Um, but can you identify any one specific reason why we can say that complaints are fine, but feedback is a better version? If you take the feedback, it's a good thing compared to it, complaints. Answer is correct.
Yeah, I think when you get customer feedback, it means that customers can come with ideas to improve the current product rather than complaints where maybe a customer can just complain and never come back again to transact with the business.
Hmm. Yeah, a good answer. See, let's suppose you went to a restaurant and you didn't like the food, right? If they will not hand over you a form, let's suppose a complaint form, right? So sorry, if they don't ask you to provide a feedback, you may come home and you will decide not to visit there again. So everyone who is dissatisfied will not complain, will not launch a complaint. But if you ask them to fill up feedback, probably they will write in the feedback. Maybe good part, what you have said, that how this can be improved, but everyone will feel that they have been heard by the company. Right? So instead of using a complaint, you need to construct this answer. That complaint is good. Complaint can be an indicator, but um, ev- everyone in the business and every customer cannot will not be interested in complaining, right? So it will not reflect all the issues with the company. We are not supposed to write the KPI, suitable KPI, because the examiner asked us not to mention any suggestion, so we are not going to do that, but we can write feedback. But we are not going to write that because that is something which is not required from us, right? Then let's try to go back to the scenario, right? Um, can you read these three lines and suggest me anything which you can further write? Not these three lines, in fact, this point, this part, these two lines. Can you read these two lines and say that suggest any other point? Because you have to develop points. That's the most important thing. What the competitor is doing. See, there are two things. There is a feedback thing and there's a feed forward control. I don't know if you are aware of feed forward control. Feedback, we all know that we ask what happened and then we try to improve it. Feed forward is a forward looking thing. Like we do a focus group with the customer and we ask them what they want the company to, how the company can improve, what they want to see in the future, right? Let's suppose that if I say that, look, I ask YouTube that, look, it's important for us to, is it possible by using AI that if I ask something, like if I search something and some search engine can go into the video and figure out that in 2 hours and 15 minutes, where actually the speaker is saying these three or four lines, right? Three or four words, probably. Something like that. Suppose if I'm asking you to do that. So that's something which is forward looking, right? And the company And the competitors are doing that. Competitors are actually taking the feed forward of customers. Right? The other competitors are not focusing on feedback. Right? Feedback is something that happened and the customers are coming up with complaints. Something with what is happening in the industry is competitor is connecting with the customer, not for what happened. Maybe they are doing that as well, but mainly they are connecting with the customer to see what they want in future. So that is that is something which we can connect here, right? Where we were writing, I don't know. So one thing is that we can write that complaints is something which the company is using. This is the connection part. And the second part is whether that is appropriate. Um, Complaints are feedback. Since in the industry norm is becoming to connect with the customer for expectation part or feed forward. So that is something which the company can do in future in order to see how the customer in future can be satisfied. Right. That's important. So how you are supposed to write it, read this part. Borderline is making. So the first part is again related to how we are connecting it. Borderline is measuring customer satisfaction by using customer complaints. Though complaints can indicate a customer satisfaction, but it is limited to those who are dissatisfied and made a complaint. Not all dissatisfied customers make complaints. Though I really we can go for feedback, but feedback from customer or questionnaire or something like that, but we are not recommending it. The company current strategy is feedback oriented, but industry standards suggest that feed forward approach could enhance the performance, with customers increasingly preferring tires with safety features. Adopting a proactive strategy to anticipate customer needs may be more effective for the company. So this is something which we have identified properly. Right? So what happened with the students was that the students were unable to understand what is the requirement of this question, and they just did it with some of their version of how to deal with things. Right? Okay, so what's the next part? The next part is customer satisfaction. We did flexibility is not here, so we can simply write that company is not measuring flexibility. However, flexibility is important. Why? Why the flexibility is important? Because it's extremely important for the company to provide customers with what they require, right? But company is not measuring flexibility here. So you don't have much to write because there is no connection. What what you can write here is like this. The in manufacturing company, flexibility is typically assessed by factors like time. The borderline corporate framework lacks this major despite the relevance in today's evolving marketplace. So that's something which they are not. It's excessively written. You may just write one or two statements, right? So there is not much to write. Then productivity is utilization, right? Utilization is measured by the number of tires produced over the maximum capacity, right? Now, the company is what the company is doing. Company is measuring capacity, productivity by seeing how much we can produce. Do you really think how much we can produce makes sense? Production is an important indicator here. Let's suppose we are producing more and more and more tires, but the demand is not there. Do you think it makes sense? No, it will not make sense because what you are producing is something which is not required by uh, the customers. Right? So that will go to unsold item. And what you generally do with unsold item, you sell it at lower prices. That's going to improve your profits. No, that will not improve your profit. So productivity, instead of having more and more and more tires, the focus should be produce quality tires. Quality is important, and quality is actually in this case determined by the customer, what the customers are actually requiring the company to do. Okay. And there's one more thing. Why the company is trying to produce more and more units? Because the fixed costs are absorbed by using number on the basis of number of units. So the more you produce, more fixed costs can be covered. But you may skip this part here because it will be too much, right? So again, the first one is the connection, and the second one is what is the problem. Right? So one mark for this and probably one mark for this. I will provide you with all these recording and the written material, but I'm just trying to connect how many marks you can have by writing it in a structured way. Structuring is extremely important. Okay, let's move to the quality. Quality is not measured by the company, right? Is this an important one? Is quality important? Do you think quality is important? Yes,
Yes.
quality is important because the company's focus, long-term objective is based on quality. So how can you skip that? And the customers are also focusing on the quality product. So quality has not been measured, and this is an important indicator because this is in the long-term objective of company, and this is obviously something which customer require. So one mark for the identification that is not present here, and one mark is will be there for the connection part. Okay, so delivery time is not mentioned here, right? No, delivery time is mentioned here. That is on time delivery to the customer, right? So problem is not with delivery. Delivery is not an issue in this case. So that is something which company is measuring, but that is not a problem in this case. That is not something to be focused a lot on. Cycle time. Company is not measuring cycle time, but there is a problem with cycle time. I just want you guys to analyze what is the problem with the cycle time. Let me try to highlight it with a different color. This part, this part, and this part. What about the cycle time? Yeah, so I'm not moving the video. Don't wait. See, cycle time is not measured, right? But the company's focus is on reducing cycle time. Right? Company's focus is on reducing cycle time. But the industry norm is suggesting that the tires which they are the tire which they are supposed to manufacture is going to take slightly longer time. Right? So if you are focusing on reducing the cycle time, probably you will not be encouraged to produce more and more to compromise on the cycle time. I mean, if your objective is to produce more and more output, you will not be willing to have to serve more time, to spend more time on the production of tires, right? Because that's going to compromise the production quantity. So that is something which needs to be looked upon. I mean, there should be a flexibility provided to the cycle time, and there should be and this production output, because ultimately, what is the objective? Where the cycle time is actually contributing? Cycle time, if your cycle time is low, you can increase the productivity. So that's something which needs to be take care upon. That productive, you have to compromise that. Okay, fine. Even if you're producing less quantity, if you're even producing 80% of the output, but you are dealing with those customers who actually want that product, is more valuable than producing old product and producing more and more out. Wastage is important. Why? Because if you have more wastage, because the defective products are here, defective products are increasing here, right? And if your defective products are increasing, this part. If your defective products are increasing, that means you have to bear some disposal costs for that as well. So this is something which should be measured, because whatever is measured get done, right? So that is something which is not here, and that should be measured. So that's basically how you can structure the answer. So in every heading, you can get 2 to 3 marks easily. So the question was not difficult. The problem was with the understanding of the question. How you are were you able to understand the question properly? That's always I ask the students to just keep yourself calm and just try to think what is required from the question and then answer, right? Let me go to the examiner report. I try to highlight few things here, what examiner has written. The performance is disappointing. The performance was disappointing, as this was the standard in which it was asking, that is how well the current measures address the performance headings of the performance pyramid. The main reason for the weakness in performance was that many candidates failed to answer the question asked. Candidates often choose to provide a solely description of the problems that the company faced and how to improve its process, which will not address the question asked. How you can improve the performance, how you can reduce the wastage, right? Uh, assess the extent to which measures in existing report address. So that was the main requirement, right? Candidates who did try to address the indicators in the steering wheel often made a poor choice to structure their answer. For example, some candidates appear to be using the heading given in the requirement from the pyramid and the heading from Borderland steering wheel within the same response. This led to the answer being unclear and to the candidates failing to comment on certain headings and therefore missing out on simple marks. Then this part. Some candidates spend valuable time describing valuable time describing the performance pyramid which was given in appendix. This tended not to address the question asked and scored few marks. Also, candidate displayed a lack of knowledge and meanings of the headings in the pyramid, so poor understanding. There was another part. There was also a comment where the examiner said that students answer. I am missing that, but there was also a comment where examiner said that the students actually recommended few KPIs, but that was not required. I'm unable to locate it, but that was also a comment that students identified that what the company should have done. So that's basically how you can answer. Now the second requirement, I'm leaving it to you, is this part. The company system was also discussed. The company system, the Borderland reward system was also discussed at the meeting with institutional investor, because despite the challenging conditions and poor performance in the last year, many employees at various levels in the organization received a bonus. So that's a surprising thing. This is mainly because the production department was awarded a bonus based on the number of tires produced, and the managerial staff received a bonus based on the increase in revenues. So that is the problem, right? No one was focused on innovation and research and development part. Right? The board would like, now this is the requirement which you have to do, right? The board would like you to assess company's current reward system, which is given in above paragraph, in terms of how well they align with company's objective of maximizing shareholder value. Right? So you have to analyze. You don't have to recommend any. You don't have to comment on how good or bad these indicators are. Even if you are doing that, you have to connect it with the company's objective, that whether this bonus scheme is going to increase shareholder value or this is going to deteriorate shareholder value. That's basically what your focus should be when you are writing the answer. So this is something which I'm leaving to you guys. You just try to think over it. This is for 7 marks, right? This is a 7 marks requirement. So what you can do is you can allot 3 marks plus 3 marks plus 1 mark for the confusion, right? So three, and 1 mark for the conclusion. The 3 marks should be for the production manager, 3 marks should be the managerial staff, and one mark should be the conclusion. So I'm expecting you guys to write it and send this part, the answer of this part to me, so that I can check and then I can give you my feedback. So we will meet again, hopefully in November. I will keep a webinar and I will ask in the group whether everyone wants me to do a quick recap of APM, or people want me to do questions like we did here. So, and then we will do webinar accordingly. So we will have a webinar on 15th or 16th. Like I will see Sunday's timing. It will be 2 days session. And after that, I will give you a mock session, mock paper, and then a DPT. All right. So that's all for today. If you have any comments, any feedback, just let me know. I will uh, I will upload its recording by tonight or maybe by tomorrow morning. All right. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.